It is 10:02, broadcasting live from ML Rose in Gallatin. I'm Lucas Panzica. The Sweet 16 gets underway tonight. Texas and Purdue at 6:10 p.m. The tip-off on CBS. Of course, you can listen to all the Westwood One action right here on The Zone. After, it's Iowa versus Nebraska in the South region. Arkansas takes on Arizona in the West region. Illinois caps the night by taking on Houston in the South for a spot in the Elite Eight. That is a 9:05 p.m. tip-off. Major League Baseball season got underway yesterday, and Tony Vitello's debut in the majors ended up with a loss as the Yankees blanked the Giants on the road 7-0, the final score. In college basketball news, a Will Wade return to LSU seems imminent. Multiple reports stating that after 1 year at NC State, Wade will return to LSU, where he coached for multiple years before a stint at McNeese and then NC State. Matt McMahon reportedly set to be fired in Baton Rouge. Tonight, the Nashville Predators look to keep their roll going on a 5-game win streak. The Preds return home to host the New Jersey Devils as part of a homestand. 7 p.m. is the puck drop. For all your foundation repairs and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Good morning. Welcome into 104.5 The Zone. We are at ML Rose today in Gallatin. Got some March Madness to get underway in just a few hours from now. We've got some opening day baseball stuff to react to with Tony Vitello and his debut as the San Francisco Giants manager. We'll get to some Titans stuff. You had the Ohio State Pro Day and the Alabama Pro Day yesterday taking place, and given our conversation with Daniel Jeremiah about would Carnell Tate be feasible at 4, that's the question that Lucas asked him yesterday. It's worth having a discussion and continuing to keep an eye on all options as we get closer and closer to the NFL draft. 615-737-1045 is the number if you want to jump on. We are live streamed here at ML Rose. Robert and Kirby working diligently to make sure the live stream looks good. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch if you want to get involved there. Good morning.
Good morning. Is it a good morning for Tony Vitello after his Major League management debut yesterday?
I'd say not. 7-0 against the New York Yankees on Netflix. I watched. Opening day, World Series, that's about the most attention that I'm going to pay during a baseball season. But honestly, out of the curiosity for Vitello in his debut, the Yankees are appointment television with a lot of the run-it-back stuff that they were battling against in the media this offseason. And then it was on Netflix. Netflix with a baseball broadcast that featured Al Duncan and Jameis Winston and Bert Kreischer and a bunch of other things.
It was a very jazz hands broadcast. Like, hey, baseball on Netflix. Oh, look, it's Bert Kreischer in the river. Hey, here's Jameis talking about crab legs. How else can we entertain you here?
Yes.
There's a lot going on.
So the streamers still trying to figure out how to do the broadcasts, and most of the controversy about that seemed to be about the score bug. Nobody likes the Netflix score bug last night. A lot of criticisms for that online yesterday. But by Vitello, 7-0 is how they lose against the Yankees. And I don't know, did you read any of the stuff on him in the lead up? I did today, kind of just revisiting what's the dialogue been around him before his first MLB regular season as a manager after having never done it before. And great success at the University of Tennessee. And he seemed the quote was, bring on the good, bring on the bad. And maybe he didn't, going into the game, morning of, that was what the San Francisco newspapers, online publications were writing about. And, okay, that's the right approach. I'm sure it feels a little different when the bad is 7-0 in your debut on a nationally, I guess, is it televised? Is it nationally streamed? What are we calling these things?
Oh, I don't know. And also, nobody ever likes new score bugs. When has the reaction to a new score bug ever been positive?
It's fair.
I feel like people always hate, whether it's Fox debuting one during the Super Bowl or Netflix with a live-streamed baseball game. Brandon on the F&M Bank chat, where you can hang out on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch, says, it's one damn game, good Lord. Like, yeah, this isn't an indictment on Tony Vitello as a major league manager.
Oh, no, this is the one game we're going to watch, though.
Right. I'm not going to pretend to know the status of the San Francisco Giants. Like, I'm not going to pretend to know where they stand and what their expectations are in their division this year. But I feel like the dialogue around Tony from Giants fans and media has rightfully been one of some skepticism. Like, okay, let's see what happens here. He's obviously a very likable guy. Doesn't mean he'll be successful in Major League Baseball. This is pretty unprecedented. But it's also been one of, dude, stop talking about your time at Tennessee. Stop talking about the reporting that eventually led to you leaving Tennessee and how that all went down. And we talked about that a couple of weeks ago. But
yeah. It's okay to move on.
Yeah. And move on he has, because that was quite the welcome to the majors moment last night.
So we'll see. I mean, we will pay probably closer attention to this than we would your average baseball season, because I'm sure it's not the only time that Tony, if they have great success, depending on how this first season goes, we'll probably touch on it a few more times throughout the course of the baseball season. Happy baseball season to those of you that celebrate. With the basketball tonight, as we get ready to get into the Sweet 16, what is the most interesting game of the Sweet 16 to you?
Good thing we have a whole segment blocked off for that at 11 o'clock.
Okay.
Stay tuned to find out as we broadcast live from ML Rose, because it is March and it is time for Miller Mayhem. The deals here: 5 High Life ponies for $15, 5 Miller Lite bottles for $20, which is basically 5 for the price of 4. $6 Shoot Your Shots, which is green tea shots, Hoodoo Espresso Martini shots, Nelson's Greenbrier Tennessee Whiskey shots. ML Rose, your local neighborhood spot to catch all the madness. Grab your crew, enjoy the huge beer menu, ice-cold bucket deals, of course, the legendary burgers, the waffle fries, and keep the energy high from tip-off to the final buzzer. So come hang out with us. We are in Gallatin, on Nashville Pike in Gallatin, not on Gallatin Pike in Nashville.
I love their waffle fries.
Yes, their burgers.
Waffle fries are elite.
Well, can we hear from Tony Vitello? I'd like to hear from Tony.
We sure can.
He's always good in the mic. Here's Tony postgame.
This is a half painful, half easy press conference to do, because it was pretty straight up. Like I said, whichever phase you pick out, we just weren't as good as we're capable of being tonight, and they played well, so it worked out the way that it did.
Tony, in the first inning, you had Willie up with first and third with 1 out, and he strikes out. Jung-Hoo grounds out. Seemed like that was a chance to kind of get a little momentum going early on. Do you feel like that was kind of a missed opportunity to get some early momentum against Fried?
Yeah, I mean, you get the crowd all, hyped up. You score the first run, and, of course, the buzz didn't die down from the national anthem and all the things that went into the lead-up of the game. So it feeds into the crowd part a little bit more. But it's tough to have a time machine and go back and figure out how would the rest of the game have played out after that. So, again, I choose whatever words at times. I don't know if it made sense. We can dissect a play or two where we definitely want to play catch better and make some adjustments. Guys out of the bullpen attack immediately. We could nitpick, but this wasn't a March Madness game where we, drew up the wrong play at the end, or one guy missed a free throw at the end of the game or anything like that.
That's an honest assessment.
Oh, he always will do that.
Yeah. Are you curious at all about him in a major league media environment? Because he is transparent, right? And I think the stuff where I don't know what it's like to transition from college to pros in terms of the coaching world or anything like that. But just the idea that he would face more scrutiny. I mean, Tennessee fans scrutinize their athletic programs. And certainly there was a lot of conversation about, Tony Vitello and the way that his teams were kind of categorized or typecast with a little bit of brashness. The experiment of that in the major leagues, where it's probably our most pearl-clutching sport, about the way that you go about things, I'm really interested to see how he does on a number of different fronts.
Zach, can we hear from Jameis Winston? as part of the Jazz Hands portion of the Netflix production yesterday with the MLB opener.
Heisman Trophy winner Jameis Winston, who's hanging out the Crazy Crab here at Oracle Park. I'm going to address the elephant in the room. Jameis, did you pay for the crab legs, or?
Well, Elle, I may or may not be plotting to find ways to get some fresh crab legs, but a trusted source told me that ever since Barry Bonds retired from the San Francisco Giants, that sales have skyrocketed due to the decrease of baseball-related crab deaths. but that's not all, folks. My history with crab legs, y'all may know.
So that's Jameis Winston, who was Netflix's baseball correspondent last night with Elle Duncan, the former SportsCenter anchor and host at ESPN, who's in a recent role. I think this is the Climb live stream situation, I think, was her Netflix sports debut.
I think so. Yeah, but this is, I think, her first major sports. Or was she part of it during Christmas NFL games?
No, I don't believe she. I don't believe she was. Either way, Elle Duncan, formerly of ESPN, now on Netflix. They had Barry Bonds on the broadcast, Bert Kreischer. It felt like a big Netflix commercial. Like, hey, we have all these things. You should watch Netflix all the time, not just for baseball. Here's a baseball game to go with your Netflix.
Jameis is, I feel like, set to be the next Jason Kelsey when he retires. That's just paraded around. Maybe not in as much of the analyst role, but I feel like we are going to see so much of Jameis Winston when he does eventually retire, because he still is under contract with the Giants.
I feel like I can't get enough Jameis, but I also feel like he is so much fun that every network will be grabbing and clawing to have Jameis be a part of their broadcast. White Fox had him wandering around the Super Bowl media night, the big ridiculous Super Bowl media night that's always done on Monday of Super Bowl week. So yeah, I'm sure there is going to be no lack of Jameis Winston in our lives, which I'm all for. I think people enjoy him just as much. You have NFL headlines?
I do.
All right, we'll do some NFL headlines coming up next.
It is almost lunchtime. You may be tapping your foot. You may be looking up at the clock. You may be wondering how you're going to fuel your watch parties this weekend with all of the madness continuing on. Well, I have your answer. It is Hattie B's Hot Chicken. Download the app today. Start to stack up those rewards, and you will be very pleasantly surprised at just how generous Hattie B's is with those rewards. In fact, just for downloading the app, you get a free dessert. And go ahead and swing for that banana pudding on top of the jumbo wing bucket that you bring in. Mild, medium, hot, shut the cluck up, whatever works for you. Throw on a quart of those incredible scratch-made sides, the pimento mac and cheese, the southern greens. Maybe you want a healthier option. Go ahead and swing for the southern salads. I have two words for you: cornbread croutons. Hattie B's, any one of their Middle Tennessee locations, Melrose, Midtown, West Nashville, Broadway. Anywhere you look, there is a Hattie B's Hot Chicken for you. Download the Hattie B's app today. Go to HattieB.com and let Hattie B's fuel the madness this weekend.
Oh, the schedule is being announced slowly but surely. We got some new news on when they're going to play football again. Oh, dearly departed, I'm coming, Elizabeth. And for everything in between, we've got Lucas Panzica with NFL headlines.
The NFL season, which we already knew, will open on a Wednesday in Week 1. But what we know for sure now is that first matchup featuring the defending Super Bowl champion Seattle Seahawks against the Philadelphia Eagles. They'll hang the banner, the whole deal. That will be the Wednesday game instead of the typical Thursday night opener. And that change is happening because they're sending the Rams and the Niners to Melbourne, Australia, in a game that will be broadcast on Thursday night in the United States. So we've got Wednesday night football in Seattle, Thursday night football in Australia to open the 2026 season.
Can you tell me the last time the NFL opened a season on a Wednesday night?
Like 1921 or something, before the NFL existed?
No. 2012 is the last time.
That was close.
Because there was a schedule conflict with Barack Obama's speech at the Democratic National Convention. So they moved a whole NFL game. I don't think we're doing that anymore. I don't think we're moving football games for political reasons anymore. I think the football games probably outdraw things like the national conventions and the debates and things like that. Although, I don't know, the highest form of entertainment, some of these debates. Anyway, so, all right, new date. The biggest thing here is Australia. Do we think that this is going to be a good experience for the Niners and the Rams?
No chance it will be a good experience for either team.
Based on what?
Based on...
Beyond the travel, because the travel is the biggest pain in the ass.
Yeah, I mean, the travel. It is the travel. I know players aren't dealing with the logistical nightmare that is moving an entire NFL organization to the other side of the planet, but to me, this is like a London trip times a million. I mean, the time change. They're playing at 10:35 a.m. local time in Australia, which will be 7:35 p.m. Central, 8:35 Eastern time. What is that, 5:35 Pacific time, where both of these teams reside? I mean, I don't even know how you begin to approach that from a scheduling standpoint on what kind of schedule you want to keep these players on to have some sort of normalcy to play a 10:30 game as though it's a 5:30 game. I don't know.
They don't even have a set way that they do it for London games, right? It basically depends on who the coach is and how the coach wants the schedule that week. Because I know both times that we went over in the last couple of years, so that would have been 2018 and 2023, the schedules were different from the first time that the Titans went over there, or at least the most recent two times that the Titans have gone over there to play an international game. So it's not like, I don't think they're going to start sending East Coast teams to Australia. Like, it's obvious that they're taking as much advantage of geography as they can to make it Rams-Niners. It sucks that it's a divisional game that's being sent overseas, because in that division, it's going to be highly contentious the whole way through. Any kind of variance for the best possible, for the most competitive outcomes, right? Like, I don't want a scheduling situation or rest and recovery or dietary issues, because, I mean, you don't think about that, right? Are guys going to, I mean, I'm sure that their strength conditioning, their sports science staffs will make sure that these guys have all the different nutritional things that they need to avoid any kind of illness that you get from different bacteria that you'd experience in the United States versus Australia anytime you travel abroad, right? That's always a possibility. So I would hate to have a football game impacted by a travel-related circumstance.
See, I'm not worried about illness. I'm worried about what Trippin' Titans is worried about in the F&M Bang chat. There are thousands of deadly creatures in Australia. Why risk players' lives? Who was it last year?
A boxing match with a kangaroo.
Remember Skylar Thompson got into a situation last year where...
Oh, he got mugged.
He got mugged. Was it
in Ireland?
In Ireland,
yeah.
Right? I'm not worried about players getting into situations where they're mugged or getting into, messy situations, experiencing the nightlife or whatever in Australia. I'm worried about a report that is Kyle Juszczyk still on the Niners?
Yes.
That Kyle Juszczyk has been
forever
attacked
and all time
by an eastern brown snake or a saltwater crocodile. That's what I'm worried about when they go to Australia.
Salty, they call them a salty, the saltwater crocodiles.
What'd you say, Bert?
I saw an Eastern
he saw... Oh, he saw one in the toilet at his house.
Yeah.
Let's see.
That's probably the least offensive thing that's in his toilet.
Dingoes can be dangerous if they are provoked or in packs.
Yeah, but I saw a dead coyote on the side of the road driving out here. I mean, like, what's the difference between a dingo and a coyote? Kirby's very upset with me for comparing the two.
The stonefish is the world's most venomous fish. The box jellyfish is known as the most venomous marine animal. Its stings can cause cardiac arrest within minutes.
Well, this is what also sucks for the players. Like, they're not going to want them to do anything while they're over there. Like, you won't even get to experience the cool parts of what it is to go to Australia because you're going to be, you're not confined to quarters on these trips. Like, they let the guys go out and explore a little bit. But in a place like Australia where there's less controllable elements than a major metropolitan area like London, I would imagine that there's going to be some, all right, boys, maybe don't get in the water this time.
Tyler says a 10-foot-tall tarantula running onto the field.
Instead of a stadium cat?
Yeah, or like a dog or a squirrel or a bird.
I want a kangaroo
oh, my
on
God,
the field.
It's
a wallaby.
It's the spider from Lord of the Rings. Everybody clear out. Everybody panic.
Sounds like sounds like the plot of a Batman movie or something like that with Hines Ward running away from an imploding field.
Oh, what could go wrong? I did not realize this. This is in the ESPN article by Sarah Barshop. There's not going to be a Friday game. So in the last couple of years, they've played the opener Thursday with the defending champion. Then they've played in Brazil on the Friday. There's not going to be a Friday game this year because of a provision in the Sports Broadcasting Act of 1961 that does not allow broadcasts of professional football games on any Friday or Saturday from the second Friday in September through the second Saturday in December. The last 2 years, the day after the season opener has fallen on the first Friday of September. Technically, this is going to be the second Friday of September. I would love to know the reasoning behind Kirby says high school football.
Broadcasts?
He says that's why. This was the Sports Broadcasting
Kirby,
Act
were you the only one of us alive in 1961?
of 1961.
Okay. Kirby was not dead alive.
I don't believe that. Kirby was definitely... Kirby was getting his learner's permit in 1961. He's outlived all of us. So that's interesting. That's fascinating. I did not realize that. So the teams will play at the Melbourne Cricket Ground, the first ever NFL game in Australia. The Niners
the field will be appropriate, and nobody will turn an ankle, and everything will be fine.
Niners employees, I'm sure, wish that they could add Sky Miles from the team playing onto their different profiles.
You're like, all right, we'll go, but we get the points.
Yeah, they're going to Australia, New York, Atlanta.
Oh, God.
The mileage San Francisco is covering in 2026 is absolutely insane. So that is happening. Meanwhile, Joe Flacco is signing with the Cincinnati Bengals. This news is a couple days old at this point. Flacco, a one-year deal back in Cincinnati, 41 years old. And how about Joe Flacco speaking up on other NFL teams being dumb for not bringing him in to be the guy? This is Flacco in front of the media the other day.
I probably do feel that way. I feel like I have unfinished business. That's part of why I'm still here and playing and doing all those things. And not being one of those guys to go sign somewhere, it pisses me off a little bit. But at the same time, I'm very happy to be here. And that's also why I don't see this as the end. That's just not how I'm viewing it in my mind. I feel like I can help a team win. And it may be in a different role here, but I do still think I can help this team win in that role. I had a lot of fun with Joe, and Joe's the guy. And believe me, I wish I was a guy somewhere. And I think teams are dumb for not having me be that guy. But it is what it is, and I'm not going to let them or it get me down. I'm going to be the person I am and just approach football the way I always have. So
how do you showcase kind of what you can do? Unless Joe goes down, you'll be playing. Does that mean camp? Does that mean?
I'm not even thinking about that, man. It is what it is. I'm just going to approach my job like a professional and be the best I can be in my role and have fun with the guys that I have in this locker room. So.
Would you?
Well, I just still feel like I can, just like what I always have. Listen, I'm a football player. I want to go out there and play, and I still want to show people that I'm better than you think I am, and all that stuff, just like I always have. And like I said, I understand that what I'm doing here is a little bit different than that. But it doesn't mean I don't still have those thoughts.
41-year-old Joe Flacco believes he should absolutely be a starter somewhere in the NFL. What a second win this guy is having.
I love him. That's great. Like, you don't think of Joe Flacco as being one of these fiery, competitive guys, do you? Like, when you talk about intensity when it comes to the sport that they play, like you get a lot of Tom Brady, you get a lot of Kobe Bryant. Obviously, those are two very accomplished, high-level athletes, Mamba mentality, all those different things. But when you talk about Mamba mentality and when athletes have it, like, you don't talk about Joe Flacco necessarily, right? But he's kind of always been this way. I remember when he left the Ravens, Robert, you'll maybe be able to correct me if I've got some of the details wrong here, but after he left the Ravens, it felt like Ravens fans were way more emotional about Joe Flacco leaving than Joe Flacco was. He was like, yeah, I root for whatever team I'm on. I want to kick your ass. If I'm playing the Ravens, I want to beat the Ravens' ass. It's not an emotional thing. He's always kind of been like that. And there's a number of different moments across his career timeline where he just wants to play football. And now he's turned into one of those old heads where he's talking about the amount of contact, the way that the game is officiated. Remember, we talked about that at the Super Bowl, how he thinks he's one of the voices behind it. It's kind of soft, and I'm not advocating for these defensive guys to be officiated the way that they are. It bogs the game down. He's kind of been, I don't know, Joe Flacco for voice of football is not something I had in 2026, but when he talks about a number of these different things, he's accomplished a lot. He's a Super Bowl MVP. He's a champion. He's somebody who's played at varying high levels throughout the course of his career. And last year, what was it? Was it his first game with the Bengals where he just went out there and killed whatever team he was playing? I can't remember who it was. Maybe
might have been the Browns.
That sounds right, but I don't exactly remember. Maybe the Jets. I don't know. He had 15 touchdowns, 10 interceptions last year. He'll still put the ball in harm's way, which I think is the one part of Joe Flacco's game that he's always had and does not lend a team to want to put Flacco out there, because he will take more risks with the ball, even though he knows better in a lot of situations. But I'd love to see Joe Flacco get more opportunities.
Oh, it was Pittsburgh. He went for 342 and 3 touchdowns. He had that long 12-yard scramble for a first down. It was on Thursday Night Football.
Chase had like 23 targets in the game. Yeah. It was ridiculous.
And
maybe 23 catches. I don't remember.
He had some nice performances in losing efforts. A 4-touchdown performance, 470 yards in that shootout loss against the Bears, 47-42. So, yeah, I mean, he showed he can still sling it around.
He's great.
We'll see if the Bengals once again will have to turn to a backup quarterback with Joe Burrow and his health in 2026. Speaking of health, it will be good for your mental health to come to ML Rose out here in Gallatin. Enjoy the killer deals. They have 5 Miller High Life bottles for $20, 5 High Life Ponies for $15. They have $3 Busch Lights always, perpetually, and it's a great spot to watch the games. It's a great environment, great beer list, fantastic burgers and waffle fries, TVs everywhere. We are out here. Cover 2 will be out here in 3HL. We'll be out here, ML Rose in Gallatin, not on Gallatin, but in Gallatin until 6 o'clock. Micah Parsons is expected to miss the first 3 to 4 games of the upcoming season. That is according to Matt Schneidman, a Packers beat writer for The Athletic. This is not surprising news. Parsons tore his ACL after Mahomes, right?
No.
Or before?
Yeah, Mahomes was very late.
Yeah,
Mahomes was the end of the season.
It was
Mahomes
right before
was December.
It was before the Titans played the Chiefs. Yeah. Are you sure?
Yes.
Okay. Well, then, wonder what that means for Patrick Mahomes. It's not surprising that Micah Parsons is going to miss the first month of the season. Patrick Mahomes has spoken as though his goal is to get back for Week 1, but it's probably more likely than not that is Justin Fields for the first few games for Kansas City.
And he was posting videos yesterday. I saw a number of different outlets, including ESPN, aggregated it. He was throwing, going through some very, very light motions, right? It's just routine return to play type of situations. He's not moving at high speed. He's not dealing with any defense. He's in shorts and a t-shirt.
It was the same weekend. It was the exact same day.
Was it really?
Yeah. That's crazy.
You know what? That's right, because where were the Titans? We were on the road, and I feel like we had to tell players, or players were finding out in the locker room after the game, that both Micah and Pat tore their ACLs.
December 14th.
Where were the Titans that weekend? San Francisco.
Yeah.
San Francisco.
Yeah, the Packers were in Denver. The Chiefs were at home against the Chargers.
Anyway, I think Micah may have happened in the early window and then Pat later on.
Yeah.
Anyway, so not much before. But yeah, I would. They've hedged their bets. They traded for Justin Fields. I'd be curious to see what Justin Fields looks like. You know, I'm not dying to watch Justin Fields play more football because it's not necessarily a pleasurable experience. But he with Andy Reid in an offense that they don't have a ton of skill players, but they've obviously made a big investment in Kenneth Walker. They're just going to run the ball 50 times between the two of them if he has to start a game.
NFL and referees have broken off labor talks amid an impasse here.
Replacement refs.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, it's March, so we'll see if that conversation becomes real. But labor negotiations between the league and the NFL Referees Association stopped earlier than scheduled earlier this week as they were unable to make progress toward a new collective bargaining agreement. This is from ESPN. Talks were scheduled for Wednesday and Thursday, but ended after Wednesday's morning session. The NFL RA's collective bargaining agreement expires May 31st, and there is concern about the distance between the sides, which has prompted the NFL to begin the process of vetting and hiring replacement officials for 2026.
Well, the next passage is the most important in this Kevin Seifert article that you're reading. One source said Wednesday, and I'm reading directly from ESPN.com, one source said Wednesday that the NFL Refs Association refused to engage on one of the league's priorities, to improve officiating performance. So the refs are saying, no, we will not engage.
Us be better? What?
Accountability? No. We can't possibly have that. That is just, it's the headline of this. They refuse to engage. Now, I don't know what the league is offering up as what they would consider things to improve officiating performance. Does that include, additional on-field training beyond what they already have? Like refs go around to training camps every year for various teams, especially the teams that have joint training camp practices, and that's kind of them, getting the training wheels going before preseason starts, and then obviously preseason into the regular season. They're not full-time employees, which has always been a discussion point. Why is it so difficult? What would be the harm in compensating officials? Would that bring up performance? Does the league think that there's just always going to be variance, so it's not worth paying whatever it would cost, even though the NFL has billions upon billions at their disposal to actually get something done here? So the quote from Scott Green, who's the executive director of the Refs Association, told the NFLRA negotiating team showed up to what was supposed to be the start of a two-day session. Today, the NFLRA negotiating team showed up to what was supposed to be the start of a two-day session with the league to make progress towards a new collective bargaining agreement. Unfortunately, it was soon clear that the NFL did not arrive with the same level of commitment. Okay, so posturing in the media. We can't do the replacement ref again. How old were you when that happened? College? I feel like I was in college.
No, I was definitely in high school. But yeah, I do remember it very vividly. Look,
that Seahawks-Packers game will forever live in my memory.
I don't get to like pick and choose where this happens. So I don't want it to ever affect the Titans. But beyond the Titans, I love chaos.
But it would affect the Titans. The Titans already get the crappiest officiating crews,
and that's
because nobody wants the Titans.
If it didn't affect the Titans, I would be sitting back like, yes, give us the replacement refs. I want to watch a Thursday night game. I mean, botched between the Eagles and Cowboys. I want chaos. I want red-faced screaming coaches. Give me all of it. But I can't do that.
Who would be the coach most likely to swing on a replacement ref for botching?
Nick Sirianni.
Oh, that's a good submission. That's a good submission. Big Dom have to get in between them.
Oh yeah, big time.
Oh my God, damn. Now I got him.
Come on.
I'm surprised that I'm the one being like, I really don't want the replacement refs. I just don't want to. I don't know. It would turn into the easiest 3 hours of radio we ever did a Monday after, especially if it happened in a Titans game. But I feel like that's just a bit cruel to wish upon football fans.
There's college basketball headlines.
We will get to them next. The Tennessee Men's Clinic is here to help you like they've helped guys who are dealing with ED or performance issues for over a decade. Because if you are dealing with those kind of complications, your relationships, your confidence, even your career may have already been affected. Online folks promise convenience and discretion, but their treatments can be generic, some even unsafe. So, guys, no more excuses. The Tennessee Men's Clinic is the state's first men's health-focused urology practice with multiple urologists and providers who are focused solely on male performance. No unproven snake oil or peptides without solid research. Since 2014, they've pioneered men's health in Tennessee and have been testing and growing to make sure that you get the best care and the safest, most effective treatments. So call today at 615-208-9090. That's 615-208-9090, or book online in under 30 seconds at TennesseeMen'sClinic.com. Welcome back to the show, fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken, the best hot chicken in the world. Hanging out here at ML Rose in Gallatin. 615-737-1045 is the number. If you want to jump in, you can do that at any point. F&M Bank Chat also available for you to comment throughout the course of the show. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. Maybe we can get to some commentary on this here in just a second, Lucas, because I'm sure the chat will have thoughts on the idea that Matt McMahon, the now former, or expected to be former, LSU basketball coach, is being replaced after being held in purgatory, waiting in the wings to figure out whether LSU was going to do the thing that we all knew LSU was always going to do, which is to bring back Will Wade as their head coach. On 3 Sports is reporting that is their objective, LSU basketball. And so now Matt McMahon, who was just kind of sitting around waiting to hear some news, scrolling Twitter, refreshing his social media feeds like the rest of us, finds out this morning that he will no longer be the LSU basketball coach. Welcome back, Will Wade.
Yeah, and it's been a rough ride for Matt McMahon at LSU. I don't think he's truly gotten the investment he has needed. That has shown in the results. 4 years, 1 winning season, and it was barely a winning season, 17-16, 3 years ago when LSU lost in the first round of the NIT. 2 years ago. But it's been a rough road for him. 60-70 as the head coach at LSU. So he likely should be out no matter what. But whoever they do bring in, they need to bring back some investment into hoops, and I think that will happen with Will Wade. He will reunite with the president and athletic director that presided over him at McNeese State. So it's a big old Louisiana reunion, Will Wade coming back, and this trio of LSU coaches now.
It is, I mean, 3 of the most polarizing people in their respective sports, right? Between Mulkey,
easily,
Lane.
maybe the most. I don't know if Will Wade is the most polarizing person in college basketball.
Patino.
yeah.
Like I personally, I'm okay with the Patino experience just because I don't know. It's full circle. He's old enough at this point. I'm not going to hold, the prostitution stuff against them for forever, or the infidelity in the restaurant circumstance, and all these different things that are
right out of a movie.
Rick Pitino's past. But Will Wade was a huge part, as we talked about just yesterday, right? A federal investigation into improper benefits in the world of college sports and specifically college basketball. So a strong-ass offer. What does a strong-ass offer look like to bring Will Wade back? Because, yeah, you got to do something splashy here, right? You can't just not acknowledge the entire situation and be like, all right, we're good. Rules changed. He's good now. We love him.
Oh, man. You can't, like, nobody prompts
perfect
discussion in college football more than Lane Kiffin. Like, there's not a single coaching name.
Deion.
I
But
guess.
when they're good, like, I mean, Deion.
Yeah, we didn't talk about Deion and Iota last year.
No, I know. But Deion still has the ability to, if he wants to, right? Deion also wasn't very loud last season because they weren't winning.
Yeah.
There was no Travis Hunter. His son wasn't caught up in the middle of both regular season college football conversation and draft conversation, right? Deion has had more reasons to be in front of cameras.
Yeah.
Where Lane just will start something on Twitter.
I think people have stronger opinions one way or another on Lane.
No, I don't think that's
Lane has had a much bigger impact on the sport of college football than Deion. He has touched every corner of the sport of college football.
He's been in our they've been in our lives throughout the course of Deion's playing career and coaching career, almost as long as one another at this point. Deion's obviously a little older, but still, not by much.
Nobody's talked about Deion since Travis Hunter and Shedeur Sanders walked out of the door at Colorado. Lane Kiffin is coming off an offseason where he dominated everything.
By design.
I think right now Lane Kiffin is at the top of that discussion. Kim Mulkey is unquestionably the most polarizing figure in women's college basketball. And Will Wade, I guess, is up there in the men's side. So I saw Jeff Goodman, the college basketball reporter, put something out there that said we need to find a name for this trio of
the
Wade,
axis of evil.
Kiffin, and Mulkey. Yeah, we 615-737-1045.
Oh, that's a fun game.
I feel like we could sprinkle these in throughout the course of the show.
That would make me happy.
The trio of Kiffin, Mulkey, and Wade be called? Axis of evil is not bad. It's not bad.
We'll make it a poll. Lucas already has put it in for the polls today, so we will have those polls available for you to vote on or to react to. We can read some of those at the end of the show. So, Will Wade eventually will be back in the SEC, and that will be a science experiment, unlike any other. Obviously, there's still 4 SEC basketball teams left in the tournament. You asked me the question the other day, how many do I think make it through the Sweet 16? I said 1, just by percentage, because of the randomness, because of the chaos of the tournament, because Texas. Jay Billis is on television right now, actually, picking them to pull the upset.
Slay picked it. Slay had them in the Elite 8.
So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Oh, I'm sorry, not Jay Billis.
Jay Williams.
Jay Williams, yes, thank you. I was thinking about this, and I kind of said Tennessee, I said Arkansas because of Darius Acuff, and he is the best player, or at least the player who is playing at the highest level as the tournament goes along. Michigan is playing the best team basketball, but Acuff has been awesome. Mm-hmm. Who are we not giving enough credit to? Because they all have accomplished something by getting to the Sweet 16 here.
Yeah.
Am I discounting Tennessee as a decent underdog
Tennessee
to Iowa State?
They might have the best matchup, just given some of Iowa State's weaknesses, especially without Joshua Jefferson. Like, if you had to pinpoint one player that you would love to not have to face on Iowa State's roster, it would be Jefferson. And they're talking as though it's going to be right up to the wire, but it just feels like it would be really surprising to see him play. The dude was on a scooter, not putting any weight on his ankle like 4 days ago. Yeah. But, I don't know. Because I don't think Tennessee is the most equipped SEC team to get to an Elite 8, right? Like, how sustainable is it for Bishop Boswell to chip in 13 points, which he hasn't done all year, and then does it in the biggest moment of the year? How sustainable is it for Nate Ament to keep just powering through that ankle injury? How limiting is it going to be as the games keep piling up in short order? I don't know.
It's crazy that we're still asking that question about a team that's getting ready to play in the Sweet 16 for the 4th. And I know the team is different than it was last year, but a program that's now in its 4th consecutive Sweet 16, and that we're trying to figure out, okay, what can they count on?
I mean, they can count on Jacoby Gillespie. They can count on their size. They've been able to count on J.P. Estrella all year and Felix Okpara defensively. Like, I don't have too much of a question on what this team's identity is and what they can count on. I just have specific questions on just how much Nate Ament will continue to be able to contribute. It's been all over the place. The crazy performance against Auburn, the drop-off against Vandy, nothing against Miami. They pulled him. They limited his minutes, which was smart. And then he does make a big second-half impact against UVA, but clearly is not at 100%. And coaches are saying that, and you can see it on the floor. So I feel like I know who they can count on. Jacoby Gillespie, honestly, is playing out of his mind right now, and I feel like he isn't really being talked about on a national scale to the level that Darius Acuff is, and for a good reason. Acuff is doing pretty crazy things. But I feel like the matchup could be favorable for Tennessee. This game could be a toss-up. The spread's gone down to 3.5 in favor of Iowa State. What Alabama's doing doesn't feel that sustainable, right? Like, this is what they do, and they've done it to the tune of a Final Four appearance before in the Nate Oates era. But how long are they going to be able to keep raining down threes? I don't know. How limiting is Aiden Holloway's absence against Michigan? It's hard. It's hard to kind of pinpoint which SEC team. There's a world in which the SEC goes 0-4.
Yeah, it's possible. I just think
Robert said probably.
He's going to do the Kirby thing the whole show. You're just going to bark at us off mic.
Theoretically, on the F&M Bank chat says the question is, can J.P. Estrella be counted on from a defense and foul perspective? And that's a great point. He has to stay on the floor. The early foul trouble is a big knock on J.P. Estrella.
Well, let's flesh that out a little bit when we talk about the best Sweet 16 matchups.
The unholy trinity, says M.B. Haggard, for Kiffin, Mulkey, and Wade. It's pretty good.
Unholy trinity.
That's not bad. Their Wikipedia
Aren't
pages,
they all religious, though? That feels like.
Yeah, I don't know. Will Wade's Wikipedia.
Do not stare at me over the top of these booths throughout the course of the show. All right?
Will Wade's Wikipedia page says he's the coach at LSU. Matt McMahon's Wikipedia page says he's the coach at LSU. Tennessee native swapping places. McMahon's from Oak Ridge. Will Wade born in Nashville. But it does seem inevitable.
Do you think we could get Will Wade on the show? I would love to talk to Will Wade.
I'm down. Austin Stanley says the Bayou Bandits. I kind of like that. I love the
That's pretty good.
I'm a big alliteration
Bayou
guy.
Bandits is solid. Oh, he didn't text it to you.
He texted it to me. He's not texting you during the show anymore.
See, some are helpful. 615-737-1045. What is the best Sweet 16 matchup as the Sweet 16 gets ready to get underway? We are broadcasting live at ML Rose in Gallatin, not on Gallatin, but in Gallatin today. Blaine and Zach, 3HL, will also be out here. What time do they open? 11 o'clock?
Doors will be open in a few minutes.
All right, very good. 615-737-1045. The number, like I mentioned, we'll get into those Sweet 16 matchups coming up next. Watch that TV. Chill.
11:03. Good morning. Broadcasting live from ML Rose in Gallatin, whose doors are officially open. I'm Lucas Panzica. The Sweet 16 gets underway tonight on the men's side of the NCAA tournament. It begins at 6:10. One of the 4 SEC teams remaining, 11 seed Texas, taking on 2 seed Purdue in the West. That's tipping off, like I said, 6:10 CBS. You can catch all the coverage right here on the Zone, courtesy of Westwood One. Iowa and Nebraska face off at 6:30. Arkansas and Arizona at 8:45. Illinois and Houston are the nightcap tonight at 9:05. In college basketball news, a Will Wade return to LSU appears to be imminent. Multiple reports suggesting the Tigers are set to fire head coach Matt McMahon after 4 seasons and bring back Will Wade, who was at LSU from 2017 through 2022, compiled a 105-51 record before being fired due to off-field scandals. Tonight, the Nashville Predators looking to continue a 5-game win streak. They hold the second wildcard spot in the West. They'll host the Devils 7 p.m. at Bridgestone Arena. For all your foundation repairs and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Four Sweet 16 games tonight get us back underway for the tournament. Which is the most interesting matchup? We'll talk about a lot of these Sweet 16 games throughout the course of today and tomorrow. Today, we are at ML Rose in Gallatin. All 3 of the remaining shows and us for the next 2 hours are going to be hanging out here at ML Rose. So if you get the opportunity to get a lunch break and come by here, or later in the afternoon when Blaine and Zach and 3HL are hanging out, this is a great place. A lot of TVs, all the angles for you to be able to watch all 4 of these basketball games tonight, with Texas and Purdue getting things underway. Purdue a 7.5-point favorite at most sports books where you look. Arkansas also a 7.5-point favorite against a 1 seed in Arizona. You've got Iowa.
No, Arizona is the favorite.
I apologize. Arizona is the favorite against Arkansas tonight, and Iowa versus Nebraska. Nebraska slightly favored. Houston also slightly favored against Illinois. But those 2 7.5-point underdogs right now. Not the biggest spread between 2 teams in the Sweet 16. That's Michigan and Alabama, which we'll talk about more tomorrow before that game tips off.
Casey Alexander is confirmed to tomorrow. Yeah.
Excellent.
Reunite with the former Belmont, now Kansas State head coach. 10:20, he'll zoom in. We'll recap tonight's games and preview Friday's games, including the Vols, with his former point guard, Jacoby Gillespie. Very excited to catch up with Casey after that big move in his career. Illinois and Houston. In Houston, I'm excited to see if Illinois fans can do kind of what they did in the Music City Bowl, which was, earn some respect, I think. Like, okay, Illinois, showing up. I mean, there was a lot of that Illinois, I guess it's a navy blue.
Yeah, it's like the Bears.
Yeah.
It's, navy and orange.
Yeah, at Nissan Stadium. So everybody's acting like this is going to be a slam dunk home game for Houston, and it could be at the Toyota Center. But I wouldn't be surprised if Illinois fans turned some heads and made a pilgrimage down to Houston. But the 6:30 game, also happening in Houston, may have the best environment of the NCAA tournament in Iowa, Nebraska. Like, when you talk about desperation amongst fan bases, Nebraska's been one of the stories of the tournament, having never won an NCAA tournament game. Now here they are in the Sweet 16, a chance to get to the Elite Eight. Iowa has not been to an Elite Eight since 1987, which is kind of shocking to me, because they've had some really good teams over the years, like the McCaffrey years. That is one of the most surprising droughts to me in college basketball, that Iowa has not been to an Elite Eight since 87. They haven't been to a Sweet 16. This is their first one since 99. Not one in the 21st century, for all the success they had in the McCaffrey era. But that environment is going to be awesome. Just a pure Midwestern hatred and desperation in that building tonight in Houston.
It's a football rivalry on the basketball court.
Yeah.
With So let's talk about tonight's games, and let's start with Purdue and Texas. Purdue is a significant favorite, 6.5 points, 7.5 points, depending on where you look. I personally would like to see Sean Miller get the chance to go up against Arizona, but I don't think that that's how this is going to go down. Now, stranger things have happened, but a stat that I found on CBS Sportsline, courtesy of Eric Cohen, who's one of their sharps, Texas is 2-7 when scoring less than 74 points this season. Lucas, when is the last time, how many times in their last 21 games has Purdue given up 74 or more points?
How many?
They have not done it in 15 of their 21 games. So it's happened, but it's pretty infrequent. Logic tells you that Purdue should roll against Texas tonight, but Texas is Sean Miller's a really accomplished coach. It's hard for me to say that it's one of the more unexpected stories, but I didn't think that this Texas team was going much of anywhere when we saw them here in Nashville, and they didn't have a super strong regular season, good enough to be on the pretty comfortably before March Madness. The bracket was set. But I would think that Purdue, if they continue to play the way that they're playing, it gives me great pain to pick Purdue, but I would probably go with the Boilermakers there.
Yeah, you just wonder when this Texas run is going to end.
This feels like it.
They're just red hot. But I've been saying that since the first four. I mean, they won that first four game, very tightly contested, what seems to be the last game of the Will Wade era at NC State. They edged out the Wolfpack, and I thought that was going to be it for Texas. For real, though, credit to Slay. He's been on the Texas train this entire time. In his March Madness bracket, he picked Texas to be in the Elite Eight, so he is definitely backing them in this game. I heard him and Todd Furman going back and forth a little bit yesterday on 3HL. A Sean Miller versus Arizona matchup would be fun. We also would have almost had, if Texas had lost to Gonzaga, a Tommy Lloyd versus Mark Few matchup with all the time Tommy Lloyd spent as a Few assistant at Gonzaga, but obviously that's not going to happen. Yeah, I think Texas's run ends here. But I guess if it doesn't, they'll be kind of the Cinderella of this thing, an 11 seed in the Elite Eight.
I'm not. Nothing with that Longhorn logo on it gets to be a Cinderella. I'm sorry. Not for being one of the richest athletic departments in all of college sports. Iowa and Nebraska, a bit more of a toss-up. As I said, Nebraska, a 1.5-point favorite in most sports books that you find against the spread. Iowa is 20-15, so we will see if they are able to put up a fight against a Nebraska team that's just efficient. I mean, Fred Hoiberg understands the style of play that makes them the most successful. I could go either way on this game. I would probably go with Nebraska, but I don't have a strong feeling on the game.
What was the spread, 1.5?
1.5 is where I've got it.
That's basically a pick 'em. Defensively, the Hawkeyes rank last in the Big Ten in defensive free throw rate.
Okay.
They have not been able to avoid fouling all season. We'll see if they can fix that today. Nebraska is riding this emotional high. I like the Cornhuskers. I think the Cornhuskers just keep this thing rolling. Top 15 nationally in three-pointers made per game, three-point attempt rate, and percentage of points generated off of three-pointers. And they have 4 players who have made 50 or more threes this season. So we'll see if they can rain down on the Hawkeyes. But I'm going to go with the emotional. The team with more I don't know. What's a team that has had some sort of success historically in hoops, but not for a long time in Iowa, versus a team that's never had any measure of success. Like, what's the bigger hunger to get to the Elite Eight? Like, this is mainly like a fan base question. Like,
they're really passionate fan bases, both of them.
They both are, but like if you're Nebraska, this season is a smashing success, regardless of what happens. Like you won your first ever tournament game and pushed to the second weekend.
Yeah, but now you've tasted blood. So now
Sure.
that I mean, it will still be considered a success no matter what happens tonight between these two teams for Nebraska. But if you're Nebraska, you're looking around and being like, all right, why not us? You know, I mean, there are reasons why not you, but it makes way more sense to go with Arizona or Michigan if you're evaluating the teams left in the field and saying, all right, who's got the best chance at the tournament? But I don't know. I mean, it would be – they could easily get to the – I won't say easily. They could get to the Elite Eight if you can get to the Elite Eight, it's not going to be one of these lopsided results like you see, for example, in the women's bracket. Arizona against Arkansas. You feel the same about Arkansas as you do Texas, right? Like, when is it going to end? When is the run over? When does the magic die off a little bit? And the magic has been Darius Acuff. The Razorbacks have won 7 straight. The offense has been incredibly explosive, and that's because Acuff has been one of the best players, if not the best player, in the tournament. Lucas, do you remember, off the top of your head, how many points Arkansas gave up against High Point?
I'm looking at the score.
Okay, 88.
88, yeah. They
88.
scored 94, gave up 88.
88 points against High Point, 111 against Florida, 117 against Alabama, and you would say, well, Florida's got the length, and they're great around the rim. Alabama can just shell you at will, even though they play very little defense unto themselves, but Arizona is not the matchup that you want to see if you are struggling, if you do not have your act together on defense. And that's not really what this Arkansas team is. They're trying to outgun you, and I don't think that that's possible here.
I feel like Cal kind of got outcoached against High Point. Like, if Darius Acuff doesn't go crazy, Arkansas loses that game.
Yeah.
That was a highly competitive back and forth, fireworks popping off kind of game. But this dude has 60 points in his 2 NCAA tournament games. He's shooting 49% from the floor. He has had 6 assists in one game. He had 7 assists in the first round against Hawaii. So Darius Acuff would just have, like, what would Acuff have to do tonight to lift Arkansas over Arizona?
I think like 35.
Yeah, 35 plus again.
Yeah.
So I'm with you. I'm going to always lean on Arizona in that case.
And then as we wrap up tonight's slate of games, it's Houston and Illinois. Houston the favorite by 2.5 right now. Looking at some of the numbers on Houston, not a team that's great against the spread as a favorite against Illinois tonight. Illinois, one of the most effective teams in the Big Ten so far this season. You got a couple of players on the injury report for both sides. I feel similarly about this game as I did the Nebraska-Iowa game, where I think Kelvin Sampson is an excellent coach. I think Houston's one of the most physical basketball teams in the country. But Illinois can bang with them. So I think that this is one of the tougher games to bet if you're betting it. If I were picking it, I would like to see Kelvin Sampson win, so I'm going to go. This is going to be my emotional pick as the former Indiana coach, and if I can't have success, then I'd like Kelvin Sampson to have success. It would be cool to see him as he gets further in his career to continue to have an opportunity to play for a championship and win a championship. So I'll take the Cougars.
I'm with you. One of the best defenses in the country against Illinois, who is offensive efficiency-wise, one of absolutely the best teams in the country. Houston with the home crowd backing it. I'm with you. I almost picked them to win the national championship. Like, because I have no allegiance towards Kelvin Sampson whatsoever, but
they're just good.
He's also just a coach that you root for. Like, I don't know what it is.
That didn't used to be the case.
Yeah, and
he's got a lot of Bruce Pearl without the obnoxiousness.
But I feel like he has become one of the more, like, just well-respected, endearing figures in college basketball coaching. Like, am I wrong about that? I don't know. I really enjoy Kelvin Sampson. I would like to see him get over that hump and win a national championship.
Coming up next, we are going to get to a little bit. We're not going to do what we normally do on Thursdays, which is play a chunk of the install for you, but we are going to give you a clip from this morning's install. Today's episode was about wide receivers. And in the conversation about wide receivers, we didn't get to Chris Brazzell necessarily, but at the end of the conversation, I wanted to get Greg's thoughts on what Chris Brazzell said, I believe, to a question from Robert, right? About the Tennessee offense?
That's right.
At the Combine?
That's right.
And Chris Brazzell had a response about, no. You're talking about previous Tennessee offenses. That's not what we ran last year. So you're going to hear from Cosell on the changes that the Vols made offensively last year, why it's going to better equip guys like Joey Aguilar and Chris Brazzell to have success at the next level, and give you some of the details on what exactly it was that Josh Heupel changed. I'm Buck Rising. It's 104.5 The Zone.
This is a different court, Blair.
Same result, Slay.
Okay, Blair. See, that's Tyler Tanner. See, Tyler Tanner's in the house now.
Let's see what you got. Jury's out, Blair.
Blair, come on. Okay, Blair, just come sit down. Come on, Blair, stop. You're going to get hurt. Blair, get off the court. That's enough.
What's the verdict, Blair?
The courtroom is where I play ball.
Boy, Durham, injury law. And that ain't got no roof.
Welcome back to the show, fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken, the best hot chicken in the world. We are hanging out at ML Rose, which is, at any one of their locations, a great place to watch the tournament. Basketball getting ready to get back underway, all manner of TVs. Lucas has been looking at the menu during, well, not just the commercial breaks. It's basically just been his backdrop on his laptop for the whole show. Waffle fries, definitely in the future at this point in time. I also love their buffalo chicken quesadilla. Very good.
Some of the best burgers in town.
Yes.
The sumo Brussels sprouts are calling my name.
Sumo Brussels
I
sprouts.
love.
That sounds good.
I love a good, like, Asian-style Brussels sprout.
What makes them sumo Brussels sprouts? What's in the sumo Brussels sprouts, out of curiosity?
Bacon, savory pecans, and Japanese barbecue sauce.
I also love bacon and pecans. So... all aboard for the sumo Brussels sprouts.
They've got some killer beer deals, Miller Lite deals, so come by. They have $3 Busch Light at all times, 5 Miller Lite bottles for $20, 5 High Life ponies for $15. So
and I heard green tea shots
games
on Robert at some point.
That's right, $6 shoot your shots, green tea shots. Hoodoo espresso martini.
I saw kind of $100 bills that you were flashing in front of the audience the other day. Let's go ahead.
We'll wait over here.
Let's go ahead. Yeah, that's you're gonna make a strong ass offer for the audience. look at all that money.
The F&M Bank chat. Kirby
just sent Kirby diving for dollars here in a minute.
By the way, Stuart Mandel points out that in the last 4 months, LSU has hired both a football coach who left his team before the playoff,
yes,
and a hoops coach who it previously fired without having yet fired the coach it currently has.
So far, the submissions are from Alan Bell, the axis of inevitable legal, not the axis of evil.
That's good.
But the axis of an inevitable legal.
Now, he's talking about the trio of Kiffin, Mulkey, and Wade, which we asked folks to give us a good name for.
At Buck Rising is where you can submit your nominations on the poll. Blake Batchelor writes the Cajun Cabal.
Okay.
Pretty good. I can't read the rest of them on the air.
Oh, no. Oh, this made me laugh so hard. Connor Stallions tweeted,
really good.
Wait a minute. If Bobby Petrino can come back to Arkansas and Will Wade can come back to LSU, and then the anything is possible gif of Kevin Garnett after winning the championship.
It's brilliant.
Brilliant stuff from Connor Stallions.
So, brilliant stuff from Josh Heupel, potentially, in the way that he reimagined his offense. Did you notice, as a Tennessee fan, as somebody who watches every one of these games, and I'm not suggesting that you're grinding tape of the Vols and things like that, but did you notice any appreciable differences in what Josh Heupel ran on offense this year versus years past, where it has been described as a pure air raid offense?
Oh, you are asking my dumb football mind.
That's fine.
To dissect things.
Well, that's why I'm asking. Because is the fan who cares and watches every game and knows the players and the coach and expects a certain style of play, did you pick up on anything that was different?
I do think that, like, my dumb layman football mind did notice more intermediate stuff, more throws over the middle of the field, as opposed to going to the boundary as consistently as Tennessee used to do. I feel like they were able to take advantage of more levels of the field. But to me, I have a hard time pinpointing whether that's a scheme thing or whether that's a Joey Aguilar thing compared to Nico Iamaleava. So I do enjoy hearing people much smarter than us break these things down.
Well, lucky for us, we have Greg Cosell of NFL Films. And Greg and I are in the midst of breaking down draft prospects at every position. We did running backs last week with the interest in Jeremiah Love. Today we did wide receivers. And we didn't dive too deep on Chris Brazzell, who's going to be, at latest, a second-round pick in the NFL draft, the former University of Tennessee receiver. But I remembered as we were wrapping up the episode that Robert, doing his Big J investigative journalism at the Combine, asked Chris Brazzell about the University of Tennessee, their offense, and how there are criticisms about the way that it translates to the pros. And Lucas Brazzell, because you were over there, I wasn't. That was the day that the two of you just abandoned me.
I was talking to Joey Aguilar while Robert was talking to Chris Brazzell.
Okay, excuses. The response from Chris Brazzell to Robert about the Tennessee offense was what?
Oh, that's not our offense.
Yeah.
Basically, what he responded to Robert was, oh, no, what you're talking about is the Jalen Hyatt offense, the Hendon Hooker offense. what we ran is much closer to a pro-style offense, which Joey Aguilar echoed.
And so hearing or posing that prompt to Greg Cosell, this is what Greg had to say about both players and Josh Heupel's offense last year.
It was absolutely different because I did Joey Aguilar.
Yeah.
Well, by the way, I like Joey Aguilar.
Do you?
I do. I think he can play in the league. But anyway, so I watched about 5 games of Tennessee's offense, and the first thing that I noticed was this is not the pure air raid offense at all. This offense this year, and I hope people are listening and really understand what we're saying here, and Brazel's 100% right. Obviously, he was in it, so he knows. But it was much more reduced splits. There were times there were 2 backs in the backfield. This was much more of a NFL-style offense than what people who are big Tennessee fans, and I'm sure there's many, in Nashville, when they think of Hendon Hooker and those years where they had those stacked receivers, 2 stacked receivers on each side, and literally they were a yard from the sideline. This offense was nothing like that relative to what it's been. So, Brazel's 100% right. Of course, he knows, but the tape tells you that as well. So Brazel was not just running routes that you think, like Jalen Hyatt, who, unfortunately has not made it so far in the league. And it wasn't like that with Chris Brazel.
Yeah.
Who's a very interesting guy, by the way.
I've enjoyed learning more about him since he's been at Tennessee, and that was one thing that I wanted to that I made a note to make sure to ask you when we did talk about these wide receivers, because obviously you would have a deeper level of insight on the changes that Josh Heupel made.
It blew me away. It blew me away because I was expecting to see, what we've seen in the past, and it was not like that this year. Now, whether that was a function of Josh Heupel changing, whether he thought, it was a function of Joey Aguilar, we don't know the reason. They didn't publicly announce it, but it was not the same old Tennessee offense that everybody essentially rips when it comes to translation to the NFL.
Well, and it certainly benefited Joey Aguilar, who led the SEC in passing in that offense, despite playing through. He had that tumor in his arm, that benign tumor.
I kind of liked his tape. I came away feeling like Joey Aguilar could play in the NFL.
How about that?
Okay. Greg Cosell. Interesting.
VFL, not.
VFL, yeah, Greg Cosell, VFL. I guess he had not had a chance to truly dive into those guys before the Combine, because we didn't talk to him about those guys a lot during the Combine. Chris Sims, did you see Chris Sims' wide receiver rankings?
No.
Top 5. He goes in tiers, but he also ranks them. Number 1, Denzel Boston out of Washington. Jordan Tyson at 2 out of Arizona State. Then tier 2 begins with Chris Brazel as his wide receiver 3, and then Carnell Tate as his wide receiver 4. He also had Joey Aguilar in his top 5 of quarterbacks, which I don't have in front of me. I can't remember if Aguilar was 3 or 4. 4. He was 4 for Chris Sims.
What are these other screenshots here?
I'm looking at Chris Sims' wide receiver rankings compared to the last 6 years.
I know, but what is the context of these?
These are his rankings from last year.
Okay, but at different positions. And so I guess it's just to kind of showcase where, precedent for him. Yeah. Tier 1 explosive wide receivers, Malik Neighbors. Brian Thomas Jr. hasn't really I guess he's not explosive.
No, but he did say Malik Neighbors in 2024 was his wide receiver 1 over Marvin Harrison Jr., which very early has played out, but it is incredibly early in both of their careers.
So why do you think Heupel changed the offense? Just personnel? I mean, I'm asking you without you having in-depth knowledge of it, and I don't know if that's something that would be worth passing on to somebody like Adam Sparks, because I don't know how many questions got asked to that effect. Just kind of not being like, hey, Adam, listen to this Greg clip, and you should subscribe to my podcast while you're there, but just to kind of get Josh Heupel's thoughts on it, because I'm not aware of him being asked about changes to the offense last year in a meaningful way.
Yeah, I feel like he has been asked about it.
Okay.
And I don't think he would ever directly say, we're tweaking things in the offense to, put us in better standing with how NFL teams view us, which could in turn help recruiting and our pipeline into the NFL. I would think that has something to do with it, but I would think it's more about the evolution of the offense, because the longer you stay in one particular scheme or way of doing things, the more other teams will adjust. Defenses have adjusted to Josh Heupel's offense over the last couple of years. I think that early on you saw Tennessee having so much success in the run game, and that enabled them to beat teams down the field. Because when Tennessee was so good in the run game, teams would load the box, and then Jalen Hyatt, with those choice routes, would just be able to pick apart safeties that didn't have the speed advantage that Jalen Hyatt had. I think slowly, and I feel like we started to see this in 2024. Again, this is my dumb football mind, but I think teams started to be less willing to load the box against Tennessee against the run and give up some of those chunk plays, those 6-7 yard gains. Robert? No? Okay.
He's not paying attention. He's also looking at the menu. We can't trust him to be paying attention to anything going on with the show.
Because Tennessee ran the ball in 2024. It was one of their, I think it was their best season statistically running the football in the modern era, right? Like record-breaking season, as we know from Dylan Sampson. But I think teams were a little more willing to let Tennessee creep down the field, bend but not break in the run game, and say, okay, beat us in the red zone. Beat us when you don't have the opportunity to go over the top for a 60-yard touchdown, which we saw time and time again in that Hendon Hooker, Jalen Hyatt offense. So all that to say, I do think teams have been adjusting to Josh Heupel and Joey Halsley's offense at Tennessee, and it has been more of an evolution to continue to be one step ahead. And if it helps you in the eyes of the NFL and it leads to more players getting opportunities in the NFL and being better prepared, then that leads to recruiting, then it's all a bonus.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. If they can do it successfully, that would help Tennessee in a number of different ways, both with these quarterback prospects, if you're trying to continue to keep that pipeline of wide receiver talent going, just skill guys generally. No, we're going to give you the tools to succeed at the next level, because I'm sure that's a tool that's used in recruiting against Tennessee.
Oh, for sure. And it should be, right?
Oh, yeah,
it's sure. Right there. Not one of these guys have hit. Not one. Jalen Hyatt, last year, Dante Thornton.
I kind of feel for Tillman, though. I feel like Tillman had a shot if he'd have gone to somewhere.
Right, and that's the other thing. None of these guys have gone to exactly favorable situations. Hyatt to the Giants.
Hyatt's had opportunity. I've seen, at least maybe Giants are on TV more, but I've seen Jalen Hyatt have more opportunities and miss more opportunities
for sure.
to make plays.
He's dealt with drops, and Tillman actually was, a serviceable NFL wide receiver, like a 400 or 500 yard season last year. Dante Thornton's in Vegas with the Raiders.
Yeah.
No, we don't get to do it for 4 or 5, Robert. It's only 6-7.
It's too late.
So I would like to see one of these guys land in a stable environment for once with consistent quarterback play, and we'll see if we get that with Chris Brazzell. His landing spot's going to be really interesting. I feel like, what are we saying is his floor?
Oh.
Day two. Second round. We're going to say second round.
Yeah, I think he's gone in the second round. Because let's assume, how many wide receivers would you say end up going in the first round?
Oh.
We've talked about the 3, right? Tyson, Lemon, and Tate, however you want to stack them. You've got the Boston kid from Washington.
I was going to say 3 or 4. But, there could be a run at any point, I suppose. It wouldn't be so shocking to see Brazzell go late first round.
Well, the way, and I was listening, whose podcast was I listening to the other day? It was our buddy Trevor Sycamore. But
it was NSC Backstage with BJ Callahan as a guest, wherever you get your podcasts.
Don't smile at me.
No, that is what it was.
Do you want to tell people about the podcast you did with the soccer coach?
I just did.
Okay. No, it's too late now. He's already gotten his shameless plug in. He doesn't get any more shameless plugs, and still he starts doing the lines on air.
At Lucas Panzica.
It was Sycamore was a guest on a podcast somewhere. I can't remember whose podcast it was. And he was talking about, you've noticed the runs. Trevor Sycamore obviously studies the draft for Pro Football Focus. He was talking about, you see multiple runs on wide receivers in the first round, but in recent history, the way that they've been stacked is you get a bunch off the top in the first 10 picks. And then you really don't see another one of those runs. Like, you're not seeing wide receivers picked in the middle of the round that way. You see a lot of them go up top. You see a lot of them start to go again in the mid-20s. And that's at least been, in the last couple of years, the way that the wide receivers have come off the board. Now, does that mean that that's just how it's going to happen every year? No, but there are some trends that are worth paying attention to here. So let's say 4 first-round wide receivers, one way or the other. I'm sure the over-under is probably 4.5. How many more wide receivers would you get through the second round before Chris Brazzell came off the board?
Yeah.
Because, Boston is at the top of round 2. Tyson, if he falls, is at the top of round 2, even with the durability concerns that he's got. How many more wide receivers would you name before you got to Chris Brazzell? I don't think many.
Yeah, and he really helped himself.
Malachi Fields, maybe.
He really helped. Zachariah Branch out of Georgia. Maybe a bit of a gadget player. Didn't have exactly the sample size of what he would be doing in the NFL. But Brazzell had a fantastic combine. I'm not sure what his plan is for Tennessee's Pro Day, which is coming up Tuesday. All eyes will be on Jermod McCoy, of course, Tuesday in Knoxville.
Yeah.
But the measurables are there. The testing is there. The production absolutely was there last year at Tennessee, and I'm with you. A second round as a floor feels like a pretty good bet.
615-737-1045 is the number if you want to jump in. Ty Simpson spoke out about the controversy now surrounding him in the draft process and his thoughts Welcome back to the show, fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken, the best hot chicken in the world. Not at Hattie B's today. We're at ML Rose in Gallatin. Always good to come to ML Rose, especially with tournament games on later. Lucas, what are the drink specials that they've got going on here as people start to file in for lunch? We're going to have the other two shows who come on after us. Of course, we'll be broadcasting here live as well.
Yeah, they've got 5 High Life ponies for $15, 5 Miller Lite bottles for $20. It is Miller Mayhem in March, and $6 Shoot Your Shot. So we're talking green tea shots, Nelson's Greenbrier Tennessee whiskey shots.
Love a green tea shot.
Espresso martini shots here at ML Rose. Great spot to come watch the games.
So Ty Simpson is shooting his shot relating to being a first-round pick and was asked about it yesterday at the Alabama Pro Day. Did you see how few people were at the Alabama Pro Day?
Yeah, because the Ohio State Pro Day is happening.
I know, but how
few GMs?
Just generally, like how sparse the crowd was at an Alabama Pro Day was kind of, I don't know, that's surprising to me to see. I understand that Ohio State has Carnell Tate and Caleb Downs and Arvell Reese and Sonny Styles and all these fantastic players at the top of the first round, but it was still, the disparity between Alabama and Ohio State is not normally that great. Like, you usually at least get a split crowd.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, who's the next best Bama prospect? Or who's the best? Maybe Simpson's not the best.
Is it Jeremy Bernard?
Yeah, Jeremy Bernard. He'll probably,
Caden Proctor.
Caden Proctor, right. Proctor, Bernard, Simpson.
There are players, but it's just Ohio State has a lot more of the headliners this year.
I guess any one of those guys could go off the board first, right? Like, there's a world in which Proctor or Bernard or Simpson.
I would be.
No?
Well,
Robert says Proctor, for sure, will be the first Bama player drafted.
Yeah, it just really, that goes against your propaganda of Ty Simpson being the second pick in the draft.
I think it's possible.
Maybe not.
Nobody
else seems to think. It's you and Dan Orlovsky on that island.
Well, nobody thought Shador was going to be in the 5th round, and I called that.
You did not.
Yes, I did.
Just lying. Just lying to people. Also, why are you dressed so Italian today? What's going on?
It's a big game today.
I think the chain is the thing that puts it over the top.
Did you ever watch Silicon Valley?
Yes.
And Dinesh starts wearing a chain and the Guilfoyle, and they all start just
is that a chain?
Shredding him. Sometimes
it's once you take the step, it's a good look. I'm not saying that you look bad today. I'm just saying you look very Italian today.
In 3 hours, Italy kicks off against Northern Ireland in a playoff match for a spot in the 2026 FIFA World Cup. Italy has now missed 2 consecutive World Cups. The idea that there are children in Italy at the age of 16 or younger that have never seen the 4-time World Cup champions play in the World Cup is a national travesty. So the vibes are whatever BVS version of Italian soccer is.
Italy's got it.
It is rampant. It's not in a good place right now, but they do have an opportunity to avoid a national disaster with a win against Northern Ireland this afternoon.
And how are they positioning it in the Italian papers you were telling me earlier?
Oh, yeah. There's all the biggest Italian newspapers. Like, the front page is just a bunch of kids wearing the azzurri, right? The colors, the blue and the flag. And the headline is, "Do it for us." There's a bunch of children cheering, like, please, we've never seen
They're trying to guilt trip the soccer team into playing better.
Yeah, it's a very nervy moment. I've got a BIS. I don't know what the word would be.
Anti-Italian discrimination. Anyway, so as we talk about these quarterbacks in the draft, Ty Simpson has obviously been in the. Is it news? I guess it's been aggregated, but it's just it's more the opinion cycle than it is the news cycle, right? Nothing about Ty Simpson has changed. Dan Orlovsky just decided to get out there and say that he feels, if offered the opportunity to draft both prospects, Fernando Mendoza and Ty Simpson, that Dan seems to be leaning towards Ty Simpson. And he's been, kind of run through the ringer on a number of different fronts. And frankly, when he wasn't able to make a better defense of his case on the Pat McAfee show, I didn't have a ton of sympathy for Dan as far as the blowback that he was getting. Because there's nothing wrong with having a different perspective than everybody else, especially if you believe it. And there's no reason. Dan Orlovsky is not like does Dan Orlovsky get a lot of clickbait feedback when he says something on television? Because I don't think that Dan's out there trying to provoke opinions. Maybe people disagree with me.
Yeah.
I think he's trying to give his analysis based on what he sees.
He's just twisted himself into a pretzel after.
Yeah, it's been bad. Like he has not properly defended himself after the fact. But the Alabama Pro Day, as I mentioned, was yesterday, and the quarterback Ty Simpson went through more than 40 minutes of a throwing session. A lot of different NFL personnel people there in attendance because he did not go through. Well, I'm sorry, he did throw at the combine in February, and then decided that he would again work out in Tuscaloosa. The quote was, "Why not? Go have fun, go sling it." You watch the tape of the Pro Day. There weren't any easy throws. I didn't want to make it easy. And then when asked about whether he believes he's a lock to be a first-round pick, the response was absolutely. I feel like I've done everything I can, but it's not up to me. I just know that wherever I go, I'm going to give it my all and make sure I'll put my best foot forward. So he is convicted in the belief that he's going to be a first-round pick. And I'm sure he's gotten feedback from teams like, yeah, make sure you get your phone on you when we get to 15 or something like that.
Well, we talked about it when you were gone to go to the Titan Stadium tour. You know how many teams have 2 first-round picks this year?
Is there 3?
5.
5?
It's a lot. Yeah.
That's crazy.
The Dolphins, it's the Jets, it's the Browns, the Cowboys,
Chiefs.
the Chiefs with that Trent McDuffie trade. Those are the 5. So obviously not all those teams have a need at quarterback, but the Jets certainly do. The Browns, I guess, will just draft quarterbacks until the end of time, until they find one. So I don't know. I feel like it sets up for Ty Simpson to be a first-round draft pick. And I just feel like stranger things have happened than the Alabama quarterback that for 90 to 80% of the season was elite, didn't make mistakes, was good in clutch moments, did not turn the ball over. I think his athleticism is the most underrated part of his game. This dude is a 5-star dual-threat quarterback coming out of Westview High School. He can move around. It's not something he leaned into a lot at Alabama, and it is a small sample size of him starting games. That is absolutely a factor. But I will be very surprised if Ty Simpson is not a first-round draft pick simply because he is the second-best quarterback in this draft.
That would have been the logic last year, right? And it didn't hold. Now, there were 2 first-round quarterbacks last year with Cam and Dart, but obviously the conversation was around Shador far more than it was Jackson Dart. Allen in Mount Juliet is on hold with a name for the LSU coaching trio. Go ahead, Allen.
Yeah, thanks, Buck. How about naming it after the fearsome Triceratops and call them the Tri-Terror Snots?
Tri-Terror Snots. Tri-Terror Snots. Do we feel like he's going for some? It's not alliteration.
No. So it's
a little alliteration.
A little bit of a verbal gymnastics there, but I appreciate the effort.
Okay.
7-year deal is the reporting. Way to signing at LSU.
I also have the Bayou Bag Getters from Tom Thumb on Twitter. So we are submissions for the trio, nicknames for the trio of Lane Kiffin, Kim Mulkey, and now Will Wade back at LSU. At Buck Rising on Twitter is where you can respond to that poll.
Expected to have a roster budget north of $12 million, according to Pete Nakos.
That allows for some strong-ass offers. We will talk about Carnell Tate at number 4. Daniel Jeremiah was on the radio show yesterday. If you didn't hear his thoughts, you will again coming up next.
12 o'clock, good afternoon, broadcasting live from ML Rose in Gallatin, Tennessee. I'm Lucas Panzica. ESPN is reporting that Matt McMahon has been dismissed by LSU basketball. The next step for the Tigers to bring back Will Wade. After 1 year at NC State, Wade set to return to LSU, where he coached from 2017 through 2022, and was fired amid off-field pay-for-play scandals. Matt McMahon will be owed a buyout of over $8 million after 4 years, according to Pete Thamel of ESPN. Meanwhile, the Sweet 16 gets underway tonight on the men's side. Texas and Purdue doing battle at 6:10 p.m. in the West region. San Jose, California, followed by Iowa and Nebraska at 6:30. Arkansas and Arizona face off at 8:45. The nightcap is in Houston as Houston plays Illinois at 9:05. You can catch all the Westwood One coverage right here on The Zone. The Nashville Predators have won 5 games in a row. They occupied the number 2 wild card spot in the West, looking to keep it going tonight against the New Jersey Devils at Bridgestone Arena. Puck drop is at 7 p.m. For all your foundation repairs and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Final hour of the show here on this Thursday. Getting ready to get some Sweet 16 games underway later this evening. Got some football to talk in the meantime. We are hanging out at ML Rose in Gallatin today. Slow start to the music. Music goes away very fast. What are we doing back there? Figure it out, Zach. We're happy to have you for at least the next hour. If you would like to participate, you are welcome to do so. The number is 615-737-1045. If you want to live stream the show, you can see us at ML Rose today. If you're live streaming on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and on Twitch, thanks for doing so. So, we talked about the Alabama Pro Day. That was yesterday. We are in the midst of all of these universities having their Pro Days. Vanderbilt's was over the weekend. Ohio State's was yesterday as well. Carnell Tate going to get a lot of attention, especially given the conversation, Lucas, that we had yesterday with Daniel Jeremiah of the NFL Network, who was kind to stop by the show. And we can make sure that we get back to that audio here in just a second of Daniel Jeremiah and his thoughts on a number of different things. But did you see what Carnell Tate had to say about not running the 40 again? Ran it at the Combine, 4.53. He said he did not want to run it again at the Pro Day. Did you see his explanation?
I saw him referencing some other NFL stars that didn't have blazing 40 times, but no, enlighten me.
He called it overvalued, the 40-yard dash.
Yeah, he's right.
Well, and I think a lot of people are going to say, well, of course he thinks it's overvalued. He didn't run it well. But he's right.
Yeah,
because if you watch Carnell Tate play, he didn't have to be a 4.3 flat wide receiver or something like that, 4.2 something to succeed in the NFL. Carnell Tate doesn't play that style of game. His, as coaches will talk about, play speed and play strength are high enough level to make him a first-round pick in this year's draft. So he is correct in saying, for his game, the 40-yard dash is overrated or overvalued. Mm-hmm. Quote, I think I'm a great football player. My speed, the Combine is one time, but ultimately I'm a great football player. When you put the pads on, it's another level, and that is the correct assessment of what Carnell Tate's game will be at the next level. I was laughing because we were talking about the DJ clip last night on Primetime, and one of the comments in the chat, I think we had something similar on the radio show yesterday where somebody was just like, Carnell Tate sucks.
He's bad.
He's bad.
Bad at football.
Bad at football. And I just...
That's so funny, man.
I'm like, I'm dying to know how someone arrives at that opinion, especially given, one, who he's been, his production level at one of the biggest college football programs in the country. Two, that every other football analyst is telling you, yeah, guy's first-round pick.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden he sucks. And then last night I was getting some commentary about, well, he's too slow in the NFL. And you may consider this malicious, or you may say that I'm going after him again. but I made the reference to the same people who last year were telling me that Xavier Restrepo deserved a chance despite his speed concerns are now telling me that Carnell Tate is too slow to play in the NFL. So no shot necessarily at Xavier Restrepo. I'm just saying there have been some carryover from those people to the people who are now not interested in Tate.
Is it I don't know, is it disingenuous for me to say, like, I feel like it's okay for a 40 time to help athletes during the pre-draft process more than it should hurt wide receiver prospects, specifically wide receiver prospects?
In principle, yeah. And I think you could say that of any position, but
no. Robert says no.
It's one of those things where, yeah, I mean, if it's egregious, like if the time is so far off of what your standard expectation should be, or if that guy happens to, if it's an anomaly, like he just had a bad day, a bad performance after preparing for that moment, in the lead up to the combine and then the pro day, I do think there are some circumstances where it should be at least reconsidered.
It just boggles my mind for a guy to have multiple years of tape proving he can run by defensive backs and game speed and all these things, and then a bad 40 time wearing tights on any particular day, should just negate that stuff. If it is extreme, then I suppose that's one thing. And Xavier Restrepo was an example of that. The thing with him was that there was some sort of injury.
He was hurt.
Yeah. And I remember thinking that was, overblown, his 40 time. Obviously, he did not really get a lot of, he wasn't exactly featured in the Titans offense last year. But I don't know. Then you look at a guy like Chris Brazzell, who has the tape and runs a better 40 time than was expected of him for a guy at his size. Then, yeah, that absolutely should help the value of Chris Brazzell in the draft. But the idea that Carnell Tate, doing what he's done for the last 3 years at Ohio State and ran a slightly slower 40 than what was expected of him, that should plummet him like 15 spots in the draft is insane to me.
No, but the guy on YouTube said he sucks.
He sucks, yeah. He's
so,
football.
What can we do here at this point in time? Were you surprised by the amount of negative pushback that we seem to get from Titans fans about Carnell Tate yesterday? Because you should set up your Daniel Jeremiah question, or your question to Daniel Jeremiah here in a second.
Daniel mocked Tate 6 overall in his latest mock draft. I can't remember off the top of my head who has the number 6 pick. Maybe Washington? I don't know. But we have not really discussed. He's been probably the most under-discussed
of the options.
Of the Titans options at number 4 overall. Like offensively, in terms of skill players, it's been Love and really nobody else that we have meaningfully discussed that Titans fans keep bringing to the table. And I'm trying to figure out why that is. There's a strong argument that he is the number 1 wide receiver in this draft class. He's not the prospect that Marvin Harrison Jr. was, but would it be so crazy for the Titans to take the best receiver in their estimation in this draft at number 4 overall to help your young quarterback? Like, why would that be something that Titans fans turn their nose up at? I don't know. I'm confused by it. And one of the most common things we get back is, well, they had Jeremiah Smith on the other side. Of course he had good numbers at Ohio State. But, like, Emeka Egbuka also had Jeremiah Smith on the other side of the field. He's doing fine. Like, again, none of these Ohio State receivers are struggling, the guys that are talked about in this sort of tier that Carnell Tate is talked about in. So I am slightly mystified at how it seems as though the majority of Titans fans are, like, not down for Carnell Tate at 4.
It's a stupid position for Titans fans to have. They should not turn their nose up at anything right now when it comes to the quality of the roster and the players that you can add at the top of the draft. Because, again, there are not many directions that you could go that would be objectively viewed as a bad decision at the top of the draft where they sit at 4 right now. So Lucas did ask that question about to Daniel Jeremiah yesterday when he appeared on the radio show. Robert will do me the courtesy of dropping the full YouTube video link into the chat for people to go and find if they have not heard that conversation yet. But the question was about, is it such a crazy idea? Carnell Tate at 4. This was Daniel Jeremiah.
A little surprised I haven't heard that question starting at pick number 2. If you're thinking about the Jets and their thought process of trying to lay the foundation for their quarterback that they would add in 2027, look, when you're ranked as like my 6th player, people and teams are going to have it a little different here or there, but that's absolutely in the range in the ballpark if you're picking 4. I mean, without question, they're doing their homework on him, and I'd applaud it if they did it. I'll be on set when that pick gets announced, and if they take Tate I'll applaud it as doing something for Cam Ward, which I can fully appreciate. That's why I'm making the argument for Love there. But I wouldn't hate that pick at all.
So Daniel Jeremiah is saying, why wouldn't the Jets do it at 2?
Yeah.
And we're talking about him at 4. Titans fans are like, no. It's not good enough for 4. But he's good enough for the Jets at 2?
He didn't just say I wouldn't hate that pick later. He said I would applaud that if the Titans chose to go that route to support Cam Ward.
So I don't know what the disconnect is between the fan base and the people whose job it is to analyze football. But I'm gonna say maybe not. There's not a lot of people that you should just outright trust blindly, but when it comes to football prospect evaluation, if Daniel Jeremiah says the guy's good enough to go at 2 to the Jets, I'm going to say he's good enough to go at 4 to the Titans.
We'll update the polls at the end of the show, but you put it out there. Carnell Tate at 4 overall, like it, love it, hate it. The majority of votes say hate it.
Yeah, that's dumb.
55% of the audience say hate it.
I am not telling you personally that you are dumb. If you hold this position, I'm saying you are displaying the behavior of a dumb person. If you are holding that up without actual logic-based reasons to tell me other than, well, Jeremiah Smith is why he looks so good as an NFL prospect. Okay. So if he goes to the Giants at 5, is Malik Neighbors going to make him look any less? If he's the 2 to Malik Neighbors, is that going to make him any less of a wide receiver in the NFL? If he comes here and there's options, maybe there's a different level of a challenge here because he will be viewed, if he landed here, differently than if he landed in Washington or if he landed in New York, right, at the top of the draft. Or even with the Jets, like Garrett Wilson would still be probably wide receiver 1 in New York. So it is a different context specifically for the Titans. But again, you just need good football players. He's a good football player. What's wrong with you? Why don't you want him?
I mean, one thing I remember about Carnell Tate is what he and the rest of that Ohio State receiver corps did to Tennessee in the college football playoff in 2024. I'm going to pull up his numbers from that game because Jamal McCoy had a rough outing, ended up being the last game he played for Tennessee before that offseason ACL injury. The lead receiver in that game, Tate only had 1 catch in that game. So it was actually Smith and Igbuka who dominated the Vols in that game.
Oh, so you could make the argument that was Carnell Tate taking up too much attention for the Tennessee defensive backs. And Jeremiah Smith
That's what it was. That's what it was. Yeah.
615-737-1045 is the number if you want to jump in so we can continue that conversation. We can also take your phone calls on the idea of Carnell Tate. If you are opposed to Carnell Tate, what is your biggest reason for it? I would like to hear from the audience on that coming up next. We can also read some comments in the F&M Bank chat on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. Because something that you pointed out yesterday, and maybe we talked about it on air, I don't remember. Matt Miller had all of the last 10 years of drafts, 6 Ohio State prospects, wide receiver prospects have gone in the draft, and he ranked them based on how he graded each of those prospects coming out. So we can also get into that.
Okay, yeah. Sorry. Go ahead.
Live from ML Rose, I'm Buck Reising. It's 104.5 The Zone. Welcome back to the show, fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken. We are hanging out at ML Rose here today in Gallatin. Great drink specials. We just ordered lunch. Robert ordered lunch for us. I don't know what he ordered on our behalf. We told him what we wanted. I'm sure the message was not properly delivered. 615-737-1045 is the number. If you want to jump in, you can do just that. And I ask you the question, if you do not want to draft Carnell Tate, you need to tell me why. And it needs to be a damn good reason, because I'm not liking a lot of the explanations that I'm getting from Titans fans based on smart people giving analysis saying, no, this would be a good thing for a team with a second-year quarterback that is just in desperate need of consistency and playmaking ability, both of which Carnell Tate would provide. I'm not saying I'm making the case for him over Jeremiah Love or over Sonny Styles or even over Reuben Bain. I'm just saying it is foolish to think that it should not be an option under any circumstances, the way that we seem to be getting a lot of feedback to the extreme.
Yeah, and again, the Jeremiah Smith thing seems to be just a knock on Tate for a lot of people, the fact that he's playing opposite Jeremiah Smith.
Which is a dumb thing to knock a player for.
This is not the point that I formulated, but a text that I just got. Marvin Harrison Jr. was on the other side of Jackson Smith and Jigba, who ended up falling to 20 in that draft. Marvin Harrison Jr. went 4 overall. Fast forward to 2026, who's the one signing a deal to be the highest paid receiver in NFL history, just won a Super Bowl?
Yeah. It turns out just because their circumstance has been one way doesn't mean that they're incapable of providing you something else. And again, he doesn't necessarily have to come in here and be the main target. I'm not talking about making him your wide receiver one for all time. He's not A.J. Brown. Nobody's arguing that. Okay? What I'm saying is you need playmakers, and he is an option.
Theory of Flea on the F&M Bank chat.
Your buddy Jay. His name is Jay.
He's coming over today to watch the Italy game. so I have a shoulder to cry on if disaster strikes.
Would you cry?
No, my dad probably would.
Oh, no.
No, the only time I ever saw my dad cry was when Italy won the 2006 World Cup. And those were happy tears. So Theory of Flea says, X-wide receiver is the biggest need on the team. I think he is worth it. Jay knows ball.
Jay knows ball.
Saying.
All right, so we have calls on a number of different subjects, but in particular on why a Titans fan would not be interested in drafting Carnell Tate. So Corey in Columbia is up first. Hey, Corey.
Hey, Buck. Hey, Lucas. So my reasoning is not specifically on Carnell Tate as a player. It's the Titans' track record for drafting wide receivers in the first round in the past. And I know, like, it was different, regimes and stuff like that, but just the organization as a whole has not done well on hitting wide receivers in the first round. Kenny Britt, I don't know what kind of player he was, because I didn't really watch the Titans in 2009. I moved here in, 2013, so that's when I really became a Titans fan. But for us to have drafted, Kendall Wright, Corey Davis, Traylon Burks, none of those have panned out. And the wide receivers that we have gotten have been in later rounds. A.J. Brown was a second-round pick. So, in my opinion, I would rather go with the blue-chip playmaker in Jeremiah Love that for sure is a home run.
Okay, but that may not be an option for you. Thank you for the call. I don't accept, and I get why it might make you feel a certain type of way, the Titans don't draft wide receivers well. Because it's true. They have not historically drafted wide receivers well. That's not a reason to not take another one.
Just stop drafting them.
It's a ridiculous, with all due respect, it's a ridiculous logic or a ridiculous train of thought to say because they have done this means they should just stop trying.
Because Rustin Webster was bad at it.
They should never do it again. Because of Kendall Wright, who hasn't been on this roster in, almost a decade at this point in time. And that's not what he's saying specifically. If that's why you feel that way as a Titans fan, I get it. It's like BVS, battered Vol syndrome, battered Titan syndrome. It's a thing on a couple of different fronts. You do running backs well, you don't do wide receivers well. It's for some reason, it's a weird thing. I wonder how many franchises are like that, where you've just got a couple of core things about your DNA as a franchise that have almost always been true throughout your history. Running backs, defense, specialists in Tennessee have always been the thing, right? Wide receivers And frankly, quarterbacks not named McNair have not.
Robert, can you throw me that ketchup, please?
Idiot.
There's some.
Also, the wonderful people at ML Rose have.
I thought he was going to shut.
That would have been hilarious if Lucas just got drilled in the head
everywhere.
with a ketchup bottle on camera. That would have made my year.
I feel like Robert's team has some overlap with that, right?
What did you order, since we're at ML Rose and people can see the fact that you're about to shove a cheeseburger in your face?
I ordered the taproom burger.
Okay, which has
caramelized onions, Swiss cheese,
sounds
horseradish
delightful.
sauce, a pretzel bun.
And I've got the buffalo chicken wrap with blue cheese crumbles, which I love, fresh greens. I put a little pico de gallo in there, and they're wonderful waffle fries. We love to see it. So
this place does also 2-for-1 drink specials on Thursdays. It is Thursday.
Uh-oh. Are the two of you the $3 beers?
$3 Busch Lights.
Robert yells off camera, also through half a mouthful of cheeseburger. Robert got
ponies.
Ooh, get that away from the camera. If you get sauce on the camera, I swear to God.
I can't wait 15 minutes to eat this.
Just eat. It's fine. It's almost. We're only halfway through the segment.
Take a call.
It's not like. All right, we'll take calls so you can eat your lunch. 615-737-1045. Joe is in Bowling Green, Kentucky.
You guys are killing me. I haven't had lunch yet.
Go ahead. The ML Rose, it's a great spot.
I'm a long way from there. Before I identify as a Ty Simpson co-conspirator with Lucas, as far as the wide receivers go, Puka Nacua ran a 4.57, and I don't think there's a team in the NFL that wouldn't want him on their team. And from what I'm seeing and hearing, Jordan Tyson's the most explosive one. I don't really think we need a wide receiver at 4. There's huge depth in wide receiver. But I did hear Field Yates and Kuiper talking about Arizona trading out of 3, getting some draft picks, and then picking in the range that everybody expects, Ty Simpson in the 15 to 20 range. What would happen if Arizona traded back? How would that affect the Titans? Any idea?
If Arizona traded back, how would that affect the Titans? Well, it just depends on who they would end up, who would end up coming up. Right? Like, who's the trade partner in that hypothetical? Because if it's a team, I mean, who is the player that's worth trading up for in this draft? That has yet to be
love.
Really?
I don't know.
Trading up into the top 5?
It would have to be a pretty specific.
Trading up to 3 is going to cost you a lot.
And it would have to be a team already in a really good spot. Yeah. I mean, it could be. Okay, you just don't know who teams are going to fall in love with that can address any particular need.
And you're also battling, like, opportunity
Where the hell
cost.
did you come from?
I finished my lunch a little early. I figured
okay.
I'd come over here and join the conversation. It's also about opportunity costs. Like, if you're trading up, you're probably trading up for a player that would not be available at your pick, and the talent level drops considerably by the time you would pick. Now, I'm not saying someone would trade up to 3 or 4 to do this, but a team that is in need of corner, there is not another corner in this draft that is close to Mansour Delane.
Right.
Because we didn't get to see Jermon McCoy work out of the combine. We don't know how well his injury is progressing.
He may not. Do we know definitively that he's working out at his pro day? What did you just shove in your face? What was that?
I pulled, like, the little wooden spear that's in the burger, and when I pulled it out, the Swiss cheese, like, did the stretch.
You are disgusting. That was almost sexual.
See how far you can pull that cheese out.
Dude, that was a good one.
All right, now feed me.
That was a good 8 inches.
No, people are trying to eat their lunch. People are trying to eat their lunch. Oh my God! All right, what analysis are you trying to get out through your mouthful of cheese?
What it was.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, like if there isn't a player that it's hard to say which player someone would be willing to trade up for. But if the Chiefs thought that David Bailey was far and away the best edge in this class, and they don't think that he would be available at their pick, it would make sense for them to move up to where they thought they could get him at, or where the cheapest acquisition cost would be. So I don't really look at it, who is a player worth trading up for, because you're right, there's not really a talent level that's like, I need this guy. But if you evaluate, this guy is far and away the best player at this position or in the draft, you move up and get him. That's all. I'm going to go back to you.
All right, back to your cheeseburger. Rick is in Franklin up next.
Hey, guys. I think the reason there may be a little bit of kickback on the Ohio State kid is all of us have been fed so much, glowing information on Jeremiah Love that he is a real generational type player, a game-changing player. somebody you have to just watch out because you never know where he's going to line up. I mean, that gets everybody's juices saying about, God, why wouldn't you take this kid? So my position would be, if Love is available, then you have to take him. And I'd be curious if you guys think he's the star that a lot of people are saying he could turn out to be. But if he's gone, then I wouldn't have any issues with the receiver from Ohio State at all. That's it.
Rick, thank you for the call.
That's fair.
It's fair in the context of do you think that if you drop Jeremiah Love into every situation in the NFL, that he is a game-changing player on every roster in the NFL? I would probably, yeah, I know, you're eating. I understand.
I don't know.
Yeah, I know. I'm doing a rhetorical question where I ask you a question that I don't actually expect you to answer because you got a mouthful of cheeseburger. Is Jeremiah Love what Rick is alleging, or what maybe Rick has seen or read, that this is a generational player? Because I'm going to look at this and say Saquon was a really good player that had a couple of nice moments in New York, but never really made that huge of a difference. Did it help to have a complimentary piece with Daniel Jones when Daniel Jones was playing good football the 1 year that they made the playoffs with that combination of two? And if I'm not mistaken, wasn't OBJ still there at the very start of Saquon's career? Robert, wasn't Beckham still in on the Giants roster when Saquon got there? I think OBJ was still a member of the Giants. Like it was towards the end for sure.
18.
But still. I think that when Saquon goes to Philadelphia and he doesn't have to be the only thing that they have because he's got A.J. Brown, he's got Devontae Smith, he's got the best offensive line in football, then yeah, Saquon Barkley looks like what everybody thought Saquon Barkley would look like with the second overall pick. If you drop Ashton Genty onto the Raiders, it doesn't matter how good he is. If he's just getting crushed because that offensive line in front of him can't block. Jeremiah Love, I don't know what Jeremiah Love would be on the Titans. I really don't. What I know is that they have huge questions on their offensive line. And if you draft that guy expecting him to be able to just overcome a bad offensive line situation like he's Derrick Henry, I'm going to tell you that's not a reasonable expectation, one. And I think that he could make a difference on a lot of different teams. I just don't know necessarily that he makes that immediate impact here given the needs that they still have. Could they also address the offensive line situation through the draft that makes you feel a lot better about the idea of adding a running back, even if the running back comes before the offensive lineman does on day two? Sure. But it's one of those circumstances where I just don't think it's not a blanket statement Jeremiah Love changes the game on any roster.
Yeah, I struggle with the Ashton Genty part of that because, yes, Ashton Genty was not this massive game changer that he's expected to be at where he was drafted last year.
He could have been, but he's not in the right spot. He's not in a spot to do it.
But he also still could be for the Raiders. I mean, they just went
eventually,
out, right? They just made Tyler Linderbaum the highest paid center in NFL history.
But at that point, the argument then is, well, how long? You're burning years on Genty. You put the cart before the horse in that particular situation because the quarterback's not there yet. We don't know what he's going to be as a pro. The offensive line, they've made moves, yeah, but it's not just the center. Their entire offensive line unit was ghastly last year. Their skill players are difference makers. Are they going to take attention off Genty? You're burning years of this running back while you figure it out.
That's true, and that is part of it for sure. But if you draft Jeremiah Love, of course you have to make sure he's equipped in year 2 and 3 when he's a Titan, right? If you draft Jeremiah Love and the offensive line situation is still not good in 2 years, it doesn't make the Jeremiah Love pick a bad pick. It means you just didn't execute the other part of that. But I do
so
get what
why
you're
wouldn't
saying.
you execute that part first?
Because of the type of how special a player he could be when you do get him in the right situation. And I hear the caller when he says, football people are out here telling us this dude is special.
And he is.
So, yeah, I want the special player. And I understand that logic, absolutely. I also understand the logic of if the Titans front office doesn't think Carnell Tate is far and away wide receiver 1, this is a deep wide receiver class. And so, yeah, maybe I'd be hesitant there to not want to draft him at 4. That logic is sound to me.
I don't have hesitancy. I'm not saying that I would not take him. If he's there and he's the best available option, then I would take him. But I'm just saying there is a conversation to be had about all of these players. He is a better prospect as a running back than Carnell Tate is a wide receiver. Nobody's arguing that either. It just depends. Skoronski.
Who?
JSN.
7? Yeah. Peter
6 or 7?
13?
It's a layup
That's
for
good.
you.
It was good. Was Peter 13 or 11? He was 11.
That sounds
11.
right.
So, 9. He went 9 picks after Peter.
And JSN is now the highest paid, at least by average annual value. I know the money is different because it's an extension, but he is on record with an average annual value of $42 million a year. Also, how many explosive runs is the average running back? Like 60-yard runs. If we're talking, like, what is a game-breaking run considered? Because an explosive play is 20-plus. How many runs of 40, 50, 60 yards is a running back breaking off every year that I assume a commenter would consider to be game-changing? It's not like it's happening every weekend. Again, Derrick Henry, I know that you guys have a history of Chris Johnson and Derrick Henry. Eddie George wasn't that kind of a player. Eddie was obviously a very effective player for what he did. But that's not – you had the rare one or two that do that on almost a game-by-game basis and sometimes multiple times a game. I just don't think that's a reasonable expectation of any player coming into the league.
So what, you're anti-Love now?
No, I'm just saying there's as many reasons to talk about it being a conversation around Tate and Love and Styles and Bain.
Oh, I agree.
As there are any. The arm length for Bain is a fair conversation. The value of running back for Love. The prospect that Tate is next to the other prospects. There are conversations to be had about all of them.
Yeah,
None of them should be off the table.
None. I agree. Yeah, it'll boil down to their evaluation, and if their evaluation is Jeremiah Love is far and away the best football player out of those guys, then take him, and it's your job to make sure that the situation in front of him is as good as it can possibly be, as quickly as it can possibly be. It's Carmen Brasillo's job as the offensive line coach, Mike Borgonzi's job to find ways to supplement the weak spots currently in that offensive line and then continue to build on that moving forward, because the clock does start. But I hear what you're saying. Like, you start that clock now, so why not address that later? But you may not have the opportunity to address it later with a player of that caliber.
It's fair.
So you do start that clock on yourself to maximize his rookie deal, but that's just part 2 of it, right? Like, it doesn't make the Love pick bad if you don't do part 2 of it. It means you did part 2 poorly. And it'll be up to them to execute that part if they do draft Jeremiah Love.
Last call for phone calls. If you got them, we'll wrap up the show, update some polls coming up next. Welcome back to the show, fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken, the best hot chicken in the world. Did you eat your whole cheeseburger?
Couple bites left.
We're hanging out at ML Rose in Gallatin. Great spot. Tournament games on later. Delightful buffalo chicken wrap. Very, very good.
Food always good. Drink specials. Great spot to watch the games this weekend.
Last call for phone calls. If you got them, 615-737-1045 is the number. Rich is in Smyrna.
Yes, Rich.
It doesn't matter to me if they pick an edge, a wide receiver, or Jeremiah Love. They're all going to be good picks. What I look at is you've spent a lot of money on your defense. I think there's a lot of depth on edge, so I think they can wait a little bit longer. And then I look at offensively as to helping Cam. And with your wide receiver room, you got one ball to throw to a lot of guys in there right now, especially with bringing in Wandell and bringing Calvin back. So what I look at is where can the number 4 draft pick have the biggest impact on Cam's game this year? And that brings it back to Jeremiah Love, because not only do you have Pollard there with him to help him get through that rookie year, but you've also got his ability to catch out of the backfield. And I just think that it's not a matter of whether it's a good pick or a bad pick. It's who does the most for Cam this year.
Yeah, and I'll hear you on that. But
good logic.
They don't have. It's not like they have a lack of receiving options out of the backfield. Tony Pollard's a good wide receiver.
He's
or
a
good
former
receiver.
He used to be a receiver.
That's what I'm saying. Tajay had the third most broken tackles for a running back in football last year on the screens and the different ways that they use him. Now, their deployment, how they use it. Okay, so let's say in a world where it is Pollard and Spears, I'd be curious to see how Brian Dable uses them differently than Brian Callahan did, or then was Pollard here with Tim Kelly?
Yeah, he was here for a year of Vrabel.
Was he?
Yeah, because he was with Derek.
No, Tony Pollard and
Oh,
Derek
I'm sorry. In my brain, you said Tajay Spears.
Yeah, Tajay was
no.
here.
Pollard was not.
Pollard was Rand and Callahan.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that was one of that big Rand free agency offseason.
2024.
Yeah.
So, Tony, you guys have that. Love is not Christian McCaffrey in terms of a dual threat more than just a running back. He's a good player, and he can make plays out of the backfield, and you can split him out wide.
His career high in receiving was this past year, where he had 27 catches for 280 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Yeah. So from my standpoint, I don't know that you're talking about a skill set that you already have on the roster. And could he be more explosive than Tony or Tajay? Possibly. But that's one of those things where you also have to consider, okay, but do I have enough there that I can use this resource to address other things? I think that's a fair conversation. We are going to do some polls here in just a second. We already gave out our thoughts on the Sweet 16 games that are going to be played tonight, the 4 games that are going to be played. So, of the picks that you made, which do you feel the best about between these 4 or these 8 teams that will look to advance to the Elite 8?
I didn't listen to a word he said. What was the question?
Which game do you feel the best about? Which result do you feel the best about? Most confident in tonight?
Arizona to beat Arkansas. I don't know if they covered the 7.5, but
I think I'd pick them to cover.
Yeah, I think the run ends here.
Because if they have a plan for Acuff, what's Arkansas going to do?
I think the run ends here for Cal and Darius Acuff. Is Acuff? I mean, I'm not going to pretend to know. Is Acuff projected to be Is he in the conversation for number 1 pick in the NBA draft?
Yes.
Is he like a consensus?
Well, he's no, not consensus. He's a little smaller.
Is there a consensus?
I haven't followed the NBA draft stuff close enough to say, to speak on what people who do cover this on a regular basis or a yearly basis would say. But I know the biggest knock on Acuff is that he's a little shorter than you'd like him to be at the next level.
I wonder what Amen's draft status is at the moment. It feels like not that long ago when he was really growing into the season, bona fide. like top 10 range. He's been playing on that ankle. Teams could view that favorably, even if the production has dropped off, that he didn't shut it down when he probably had the opportunity to. But I don't know. What are the projections saying about Nate Ament?
So that he would be, again, understanding that they don't all play the same position, as a 3 at the next level, he would be the 7th best prospect in this NBA draft class with A.J. DeBonsa, with Darren Peterson, with Caleb Wilson, who's obviously not playing
Cam Boozer
anymore. Cam Boozer, viewed as at least in this ESPN draft analysis that I'm looking at right now, Darius Acuff is not viewed as a better prospect as Nate Ament. Nate Ament would, I think, have a number of different things, a number of different tools that he brings at the next level, and the size that you would like, the prototypical size for a player at that position, especially if you're going to be using him on the perimeter.
So probably being projected too high to talk about if another year would benefit him in college.
Ament?
Yeah.
Why, are you trying to manifest this?
Maybe.
There's no shot. It would be financially irresponsible.
You can make money here.
Yeah, but not that kind of money. Are you nuts?
I'll contribute.
Okay. What are you going to contribute? You got a 5 spot? You got 5 on it?
Robert has got $600.
Robert's got a bunch of fake money that he's been trying to.
No.
Why would I ruin the bet? Because you had a number of different people confused yesterday as they went to pick up a $100 bill with a zin in it. Shame on you.
Buck doesn't understand a practical joke. Shame.
I would be so mad. All right, let's do some polls. Let's get the hell out of here for the day.
Presented by Two Rivers Ford, this house most trusted Ford dealer. Carnell Tate at number 4 overall. Like it, love it, or hate it. Majority 55% say hate it. 38% say like it. Only a few digits of a percentage say love it.
Zach, drop that music for me just a little bit, if you would. Thank you.
You don't like that?
It's a little much.
Come on.
It's a little much for people
Fist pumping?
trying to enjoy their lunch at ML Rose, I would say. I don't know why the majority would hate it. I think that's foolish. I think that's short-sighted. I think that you should have an open mind as to what your football team can add, because you can add basically anything and be correct about this decision.
What is the best Sweet 16 game happening tonight? Texas, Purdue, Iowa, Nebraska, Arkansas, Arizona, Illinois, or Houston. 47% say Arkansas, Arizona. Second most votes tied between Iowa, Nebraska, Illinois, Houston.
I mean, it's got the best player and one of the best teams.
Yeah,
so I get it.
It's the best. Yeah, arguably the best player and a 1 seed in this tournament. From a pure fan perspective and desperation and stakes perspective, I'm going Iowa, Nebraska. A rare Sweet 16 meeting. It's just rare to see both of these programs in this spot, and then add on the Midwest Big Ten rivalry aspect. I think that has a chance to just be a barn burner.
I hope so. I'm looking forward to it. I would love to see Texas knock off Purdue. I want Slay and Jay Williams to be right so badly. Not Jay Billis.
What should the coaching trio of Lane Kiffin, Kim Mulkey, and Will Wade be nicknamed? Kyle says, how'd you manage to leave out Jay Johnson, the LSU baseball coach?
Is he also viewed as a nefarious figure?
Yeah, he doesn't draw the ire of those three, I would say, though. But yeah, it is quite the quartet that LSU has put together there. You've already read a few of these. The Cajun Cabal. Tom says the Bayou Bag Getters. Bayou Bandits from Austin Stanley. Clay says Menage a Trouble. I appreciate the effort on that. That's good.
It was a reach, but there was an attempt.
But Alan Bell saying the access of inevitable legal is good.
I think that's my favorite.
Yeah. Anything like involving the access of evil, like a play on words with the access of evil. Maybe if there's a way to get like some sort of Louisiana theme word to put into the access of
the evil. Gulf of Evil.
We'll workshop it.
Those the polls?
Yep.
Very good. That's the show. We very much appreciate ML Rose for having us out today. We will continue. The radio station will continue to broadcast live from ML Rose for the remainder of the day with Blaine and Zach and 3HL coming up next.